by popular request. Folks, this is Dear Jesse Lofson from Colorado, USA, the 3D classic car printing guy. Huge following. I love all the work he does. I'm a welder by trade. I do tons of auto body. In fact, I have a truck, Midnight Martha, done up like nobody's ever done a truck before. I deal with steel at weld. My brother does the 3D printing. He's got the goat of what average people can do. Loves what you do, as do a lot of my friends and followers. In fact, for me, I've got 16,000 followers, 10,000 plus on Canada, the 51st state page, most of which follow you, Jesse. A lion's share of my following follows you. All those comments you're getting about Mark Carney, Alberta, are all folks who follow me. I'm going to reach out. I have your cell number. I have your email. I'm going to email this to you in case you don't get it. But I want to talk about constitutionalism and the studies and work I've done on your country, your government. Everybody who's listening to this today, the United States federal government does not, and I repeat, does not run on resources. Never have, never will. In fact, all leading world economists I can produce for everybody, and I'm going to following this video because I'm at the Edmonton International Airport, flight to Toronto, as they're speaking, 4 times delayed tonight. I'm going to be up all night before I even get back to Ontario. But folks, in world economics, the United States government is just a little bit above the Chinese government on resource wealth generation. What does that mean? It means the federal government of the United States, its GDP is less than 1.7% out of resources. Canada blows USA out of the water, as does Russia. Russia is more than 15 times reliant on resources than the United States of America. USA is one of the lowest countries in the world. Lowest countries. Resources have never been the federal government's prerogative or number one. In fact, in economics, it's down here in literally the 98th lowest percentile of what USA requires to generate wealth. Amazing, right? Not really. China runs the same way. USA and China are two of the most powerful economic forces in the world today, and they certainly do not run on resources. And people are going to say, how the hell is that even possible? It's the way they run their provinces and their states, and how they allow their states to move with the sovereignty, aka provinces of China. That's how it works. USA is absolutely federally focused on national security. I also want to explain statehood. I want to explain military interventions of the United States of America, this we the people world, this peace and security. Absolute, undeniable. You can't find any global expert anywhere to deny the truth I'm about to give everybody. And it's a Dear Jesse, because you really should know a lot more about your country, and I'm not knocking anybody here. I'm just trying to fill in blanks, not only for my followers, who are a lion's share of my following, is 1/27th of yours, but it's all those Canadian comments. Now, USA, everybody, American especially, Canadian, Jesse, you have to understand this. Your government only does military interventions on countries where a majority of the population wants to be free. This is also the entire history of USA statehood. If the people don't want it, USA doesn't want you. It's why there isn't a Canada, the 51st state, why I had a tremendous but impasse, almost insurmountable, with a tight follower who supports everything just to break that barrier. Never mind institutionalized folks or people who just don't understand America or the American system, how that machine is designed, constitutionally running now for 250 years coming. That machine runs the same way. Doesn't change. Doesn't matter who the president is. Doesn't matter what Congress, Senate you get. It will work itself out the same way every time. And it does. That's called history. That's called reality. It's what we know absolutely of all American history on the world stage, and absolutely from 1945, the America we see is a world power right across the world. It will never change until that design changes, which means massive constitutional amendment that's not achievable. It's just not achievable in reality today. But Jesse, I want you to understand, Venezuelans want the freedom. They're so terrified today, everybody. Not one person rolled out in the streets. They're still locked in their homes, terrified after literally 25 solid years of extreme oppression, jailing, wiped out of your life, imprisoned, or even executed. Executed in the thousands, imprisoned in the tens of thousands for 25 straight years. Still today, only those who escaped Venezuela at the turn of the 2000s, the early 2000s, that 30% who escaped, and of that 30%, the 3% who actually made it to countries like Canada and Venezuela, they're partying all over the place, crying, weeping, their flags out, Venezuelan flags. Do you know what you see in Venezuela? Not a single peep. Dead streets, quiet. People are terrified. Local loyalist regimers, still in an extreme minority, out there calling for Maduro's return. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. But the people are that traumatized, that afraid, who love this freedom, but are scared to even walk outside their door, look out the window. All businesses shut in, people terrified of another round of violence, because if you speak out, even with United States, until that U.S. delegation's there, until Americans are on boots on the ground, you're not going to see Venezuelans move. That's deep institutionalization. The kind of deep institutionalization that's wholeheartedly a part of Canada. Now I know, Jesse, you see all of my friends and followers, that 1 in 27 of your followers, a lion's share of mine, who comment on your feeds, tell you get rid of Mark Carney, oh, free Alberta, free Quebec. I know you see it. You've even commented. I watched your last video. A video mass amounts of my followers shared to me. It's why I'm doing this video in the middle of the morning at an Edmonton airport, delayed for many hours. Brutal. But I'm doing this for you to reach out and understand to Americans in your mass following. USA doesn't run on resources. The federal government has never run on resources. You're one of the lowest GDP generating massive nations, share of resource to GDP, primary generation. You don't run that way. You don't have to. You have deep, massive military protected value and supply chains and global USD reserve currency. Your manufacturing is tremendous. Your technical is tremendous. Your technology is tremendous. All over the world. All over the world. Doesn't go through anything but America. That's at your 50 state levels. That's the delegation of business owners from, guess what, everybody? 32 states of the Union are bringing investors and delegates to go with the Trump administration to Venezuela in what? March. Rolled out that fast from the 50 states themselves. 32 states of the Union are preparing people to go there in March. Faster than the Trump administration. Has nothing really to do with the Trump administration except for to roll that out for the 50 states, at least 32 who want to get involved, who were involved more than 25 years ago, who lost a lot of money, are ready to roll back in now that it's been neutralized. Again, why did USA move in? Because the people want it. The average Joe Jane Venezuelans in mass majority welcome that. And you're going to see that by March. You're going to see people lighten up as boots on the ground Americans enter into Venezuela. And if you've missed it, look all over the United States and Canada at all the celebrating displaced Venezuelans. Again, only 3% of that 30% that's still displaced all over South America. And they're celebrating their countries, but not Venezuela. Terrified. Now, USA going into a place like Canada, not going to happen. And I am Canada, the 51st state, most involved, most knowledgeable. Why? Because America does not impose itself on anybody. They need the masses to beg for them, to call for we, the people, in their state. Canada doesn't want that in clear majority. I know this. I've been all over this country, all over it, up and down through the far reaches of Quebec, where I had a tremendous amount come on board. A tremendous amount that follow you, far outreaching any other Canadians, even though a lot of my friends and followers in Canada, the 51st state, certainly all follow you. But a tremendous amount of yours from Canada are Quebecois. And I know, I looked at my hundreds of messages over Christmas. You come up a tremendous amount. They want this video done. They want me to reach out to you, and I am. And I'm giving you the reality. All statehood requires a majority of people to enshrine an enabling act. All military interventions by the United States only come when the people have lost all hope in democracy, and a regime, even when the people fought back and lost, America comes in, which is what happened with Venezuela. You made a comment about the woman who won the Nobel Prize, who ran the election, won the election. A new president was formed, but Maduro wouldn't step aside. Well, Trump came in and did the job. USA doesn't install governments or puppet governments. They let the people in when it's safe to do so. Do that after determining where the people are. And Venezuela's there. CIA's been working in there for a long time, gauging the people for years, folks. This military operation wasn't just some flight of fancy over oil. It was years in the making. CIA boots on the ground, gauging the people, coming back to say, we know a clear majority of Venezuelans are ready for USA. Welcome it. And how we know that to be true? Just look all over USA and places like Canada where Venezuelans are cheering in the streets. And when they see those American boots on the ground, you're going to see all of them come out when they realize, okay, it's safe to do so. You saw this in the Middle East too, whether people want to admit it, with Iran, Iraq, especially Iraq and its history, Iran and its history. You wouldn't believe what it was just 50 years ago. USA knows what it's doing. It does it, whether the socialist, fascist world wants to admit that. When you see all these people condemning America, saying it's all about resources, even Mark Carney and the rest of the lunatics, you'll find in US GDP, they're by far the lowest country in the world that relies on resources for GDP. Every credited economist will agree with me, and I will be publishing all of that for everybody, and you can check out the sources. You're going to find USA doesn't require resources or have a need for it. It floods to them. They free wanting people who want we the people. Canada's got a long way to go. The people are too institutionalized. Yes, everyone who follows me, a lion's share of those from that follow you. That's how you interpret Canada. You hear from Albertans, people from my Alberta Independence Party 2019, who love what you do. And they love what you say and they follow you. That Canadian is a minority in Canada. I know it's my following almost entirely, at least at 2/3 that follow you, Jesse. And that's what you're getting from Canada. Nowhere near a majority, an extreme minority of 41 million people, a lion's share that would never follow you or subscribe to anything you say. I know because I deal with it in Canada every day. And that's not to knock you or knock Canadians, but it's a 90 percentile of institutional people who believe in class structure, the constitutional monarchy, are devoid of reality of socialism and fascism, even though they're knee-deep practicing, preaching it, living it. Our immigration program sucks that in. I know, I just went through the airport, not a single Canadian. I'm almost strip searched, have all my things as everybody else, getting processed. Take off your boots, walk in your socks all through the airport. Oh yeah, we all went through it bad in Edmonton tonight. Everybody. That's the state of Canada. That's the reality. And people don't want to admit that or see that, but that's truth at its core. USA at its core is about freeing the world. It's about international peace and security, and absolutely America's security. Because when the federal government generates security for the 50 states through might, when they do that, the states are successful in their 100% free trade. There's no other nation in the world that delivers like that. China delivers like that for its 24 provinces, but those are oligarchs. Those aren't the average Chinese. That's communism, military free enterprise. Those loyal to the regime get access. Oh sure, there's lots of Chinese billionaires, but they're all related or infused with that communist regime. No different than Canada, no different than the rest of the constitutional monarchies. There's no protections for other Canadians in class structure or the rest of the communist Chinese. This is most of the world. It's absolutely all of the civil law socialists. America is on its own. It's the only shining beacon example for average people to come from nothing and to be something. The U.S. federal government delivers. And since 1945, the only military interventions they do are for countries where the people are ready. Canada isn't going to get invaded because they're not ready. Now, if they go too far, the government regime, and the people are screaming in our brutal winters, and they're starving, and they're crying out, maybe when USA sees engages, the Canadians in majority are ready, maybe then they will. But they're not ready today. Too spoiled, too privileged in their perceived socialism under fascism to really care or dare to make that leap. A lot of my friends and followers, in fact, all of them are there. But again, that's 16,000 people, 10,000 of which, 10,000 plus, follow you, Jesse. That's Canada you're getting. I know, because I was like, holy crap. And I start gauging my following. Guess what? I start matching it because I can do that on my page. Jesse can do that too. And Jesse, when you look, you're going to find, holy crap, his page followers, never mind his followers, are a majority, if not all, of the Canadian followers that follow him. 1 in 27. That's the Canada you get, Jesse. My Canada. A very, very tiny portion of Canada. Folks, I hope I've hit the mark here. I hope I've explained a lot. I hope, Jesse, you get a lot of new appreciation for what your federal government does. When you hit Russia, USA, China, that's called the United Nations Security Council. It's everything America and the allies of World War II have been since 1945 until today, and it's not going anywhere, and all outcomes will always be in that circle of five, especially China, Russia, USA. There's nothing new here, folks. This is international law. Jesse, this is all of USA, always going to be USA, as long as there's a United Nations, as long as there's a United Nations permanent 5 Security Council members who are given by every country in the world post-World War II full authority and rights to international peace and security for all the countries of the world, which they've created the most in all of world history and freed the most people ever in world history. USA is credited to that. That is a truth that for thousands of years was not a truth. Human rights are new. Civil rights are new. Natural rights are new. Maybe not for America for 250 years, but absolutely since 1945, a brand new truth in international law never represented before 1945, globally, ever outside of the United States, and maybe some bordering countries like Mexico and Canada to USA. And why? Because of that bleed out being just naturally on the border. These are undeniable facts. This is real history, real international truth that no expert on the world stage can deny. You can't find an expert to come along and say, he's lying, that's not true. Because it is true. It's credible, real, and verifiable. Before 1945, there was just over 50 countries in the world. There were no human rights. There were no civil rights and no natural law. Today we have 193 nations. We have human rights, civil rights, and natural law, all born out of the United States. That's what USA does. That's their sphere of influence. They are a world police, but in the most best way possible. They don't force their will. They do these interventions all over the world when the people are ready, in majority. Statehood's the same way. I've said this so many times in so many ways. I hope people understand that. USA statehood or USA on international peace and security only happens when the people in majority are ready, willing, and calling for it, crying out for it, in fact, in absolute majority. Otherwise, USA goes, nope, we don't force our will on people who won't receive it. Everything happening with Canada and Donald J. Trump is to gauge Canadians. And clearly Canadians in majority are not ready. USA's not going to force anything. Statehood doesn't work like that. Annexation has never worked like that. Learn the truth. Canada's time's coming. Military intervention when all economic pressure hasn't worked and the people of Canada, in clear majority, are crying out to the United States. I've told people some statehoods have taken upwards of 75 years. Indian nations with full settlement, self-government, self-determination, land back in America have taken upwards of 85 years. Countries like Venezuela, 25 years to be ready. When they were, USA acted. Look at Iran, look at Iraq. They acted when it hit point critical. When the people beg for it. They want it. They're ready for it. This is my truth. This is my video. This is absolute what USA is. constitutionally and in international law binding everything they've always done, as does Russia, as does China in their sphere of influences. UK, France, not so good, not so abiding. It's why we see things like Promethean action, why that's been crying out since World War II. People look at them and say, oh, they're from the 70s. There's an earlier organization, and one before that too. And there's a French organization, Le Rouge, too, predating Promethean action. In fact, all those Americans from Promethean action, those Republicans, come from that group too. There's where you find your Quebec Canadians, and why so many of my following that I've taken on are also following Jesse. God bless everybody. That's my video. Going to be up. I know it's the middle of the morning. I'm going to be up for hours. Got hours to wait for my flight. Hopefully it's not canceled. I guess we'll see. Suffered it out horribly here in Edmonton and at the airport. Security, never seen the likes of it. Another sad thing, looking down the aisle from Porter, which is the flight I'm taking, at the dark corridor of Canada to USA, it made me want to cry. It made me want to cry. You know how badly I miss USA? Angie Wilson, I should have tagged her in this. She often asks me, how much do you miss it? She watched how I change when I get back to Canada, and I'm at that point. I need a US visit. I was happy to be with family, but it's ugly, it's insane where Canada is, where Canada's going, what it does to you on a daily basis, what it's like to be in America. You know how much I miss my Washington, D.C. week? Do you know how much I miss my week in Texas? Do you know how much I miss my 2 weeks through the southern states? Do you know how much I miss all my trips through the northern, eastern, western states? It's killer, man. And the more trips I do to USA, the harder and harder it gets to come back here. It's depression here. I'm sorry to say that. I don't know how it is for snowbirds, and so many of you follow me, but it's got to be just killer. It's just got to be killer. Just that feeling when you leave America, when you see that every service station, every industry is nothing but Americans. And you walk into Canada like this airport, and I'm the only Canadian taking a flight. Clearly, not only taking the flight, my fellow passengers are all non-Canadian, but the people serving me, the company selling me the flight, the airplane I fly on, are not Canadian either. You call up the service department, hello, can I help you? There's no born-bred Canadians here anymore, really in any industry. Canadians are the way of the dodo. For those who've seen over the years who followed me, you watched my 20-year-old daughter now, Jerica, who graduated 3 years ago. Her grad class, Edmonton, Alberta, Catholic school, 2,000 students. And I mean Canadians from rural looked at that and said, wow, giant graduation class. How do you stomach that or get through all those people? And you look, and I'm the only Caucasian. My kids are mixed, and there's maybe 12 kids out of 2,000 who are Caucasian. Same for Sierra and her grad class. Extreme minority. Canadians can't even afford to have kids. Albertans talk about independence, and people say, oh, I had people messaging me over my latest videos. Oh, I'm leaving you. I can't stand you. You're organized opposition. Where have you been? Do you not know the face of Canada? Do you not know the face of Calgary, Edmonton? I do. It's certainly not born and bred Canadians in any kind of simple minority, let alone majority. And you're going to tell me that 26% rural Alberta, which when I go around rural Alberta, my hometowns, villages, communities, like I can tell you about Halkirk, Caroline, Sundre, Alberta, where my family is original settler. Peace River, Alberta, doesn't matter. Grand Prairie, Fort McMurray, anywhere I go, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, all those faces are there. And all the service industry, gas stations, bars, restaurants. Don't tell me. It's widespread, rampant. That is not America in any way, shape, or form, anywhere I go in any state. I don't recognize Canada from my childhood. It's extremely depressing. And that's a reality. The Maduro, Venezuela, it'll come in Canada. There's no doubt about that. I talked to everybody tonight about military intervention. But we're years off that, Canadians. We're years off that. Where you're going to have to be begging. And I don't see that today. Post-November 2026, when USMCA is cancelled, that so many Albertans don't want to believe, you're official opposition. Wake up. Oil's going to crash through the floor. I have long-time friends and followers, long-time childhood friends, all oil field like me. I've had to leave the oil field. Dave, will you work 80 hours a week, all regular time? And there's a name for that kind of person. It starts with an N, ends with an A. It's American history through segregation. There's a name for those kind of workers. Well, they're alive and well in all of Alberta now. That's why I don't work here anymore. I will not work 80 hours a week for regular time, regular paid out down the road 6 months later. My brother lives that reality. I know lots of people live in that reality. Lots. That is nowhere found in the United States of America. Outlawed. It was called the civil rights of the 60s. In Canada, that starts with an N, ends with an A terminology. You know, Kanaka. But with an N, ends with an A. That's been remodeled and fashioned in Canada under class structure. It's alive and well. Heavy usage. America hasn't had that around since the 60s. Abolished, absolutely, by early 80s. The crime of rape was only really a crime since 1982 in Canada. That's called class structure, deep fascist roots, institutionalization. Alive and well in Canada today, getting worse all over the place. People don't like reality and truth. Americans, you would hate everything about Alberta, let alone the rest of Canada. You would hate it. If you lived in Canada 1 month, anywhere you pick, you would hate it. It's why we don't have Americans coming to Canada anymore. We've watched the decline of immigration from the United States to an absolute all-time low. It's less than 10,000 a year. And it's always people who got government jobs high up, from Democrats into the Liberal or NDP party. Crazy fanatical socialists who get prestigious jobs appointed. And they're very few and far between. This is my video. It's a Dear Jesse video, 3D classic car printing, who holds a lion's share of my Canadian following. I'm introducing myself. I'm going to email you. I may even call you down the road here in the new year in the next couple of weeks and have a chat with you if you're up for it. I hope I didn't ramble too much again. I'm up way later. I'm supposed to be. Flight delayed by 5 hours. 4th delay. Expecting another one or maybe even a cancellation. Don't know. State of Canada. That's my video. God bless everybody. Good night. Bye now. Share. Get it out there. Tremendous amount of truth, reality, provable facts, undeniable, can't be diminished. Won't find any credible real world experts or economics, absolutes, to dispel anything I've said here. In fact, it's 110% deadly accurate. That's the truth of the United States of America. And if you're shocked by that, I don't know what to tell you. But you won't find an expert to deny what I just told you. Countries like Canada, in their regimes, countries like Russia, civil-law socialists, not to knock anybody, all the absolute worst of the worst socialists and fascists, or autocratic, full-on dictatorships, Military dictatorships run on resources. Free countries don't. Humans are the resources. Humans are valued equally. Learn the truth. Undeniable. God bless. Bye now.